Tylenol. I don't know if you guys have been aware in the press of Tylenol, but Tylenol is hot and heavy right now in the press. So Tylenol is also called acetaminophen. It's also abbreviated AP, in case you see that on some labels or on a prescription. The FDA says that consumers are not sufficiently aware that acetaminophen can cause serious liver injury, and their perceptions, the consumers' perceptions, may be influenced by the marketing of the products. And I think that's true. I think everyone's influenced to some degree about marketing, and I think it can be confusing. Right now, this fall, 2011, this is some big deal going on with Tylenol, and we'll get to that in a minute. But first, the toxic doses, they might be lower than the label says in some cases. They might be lower than what your doctor is telling you to take in some cases, because it's not only about the dose, it's about whether you have a liver issue. It's about how much alcohol you drink in a day. It's about how many other kind of medications you have that filter through that same filter in your liver, that same catalytic converter. The dose, the combination of items may overwhelm the liver, and then you'll have to switch to a different pathway. And your liver knows once it gets to a certain point, you switch from pathway A to pathway B. The problem with pathway B is bad stuff comes out of it, and it can cause liver failure. So it's there as a backup. We don't want to go there all the time in the liver, and that's why dose and combinations are so important. And you may have seen some product labeling that says this product, contains acetaminophen. Severe liver damage may occur if you take more than 8 caplets in 24 hours or 12 of the 325 milligram tablets in 24 hours. If you're taking the acetaminophen with other drugs containing acetaminophen, if you've got 3 or more alcoholic drinks going on every day while you're using that product. That's going to change. Fall 2011, McNeil, brand name Tylenol, which is just your brand name, I've got a picture of it up on the slide here, is going to change their directions to say that the maximum dose will be 3,000 milligrams per 24 hours. The current dose is 4,000 milligrams per 24 hours, so they're really reducing it by 1,000 milligrams. And McNeil did this and then notified the FDA. That's how that went down. The FDA didn't come to them and say, you have to do this, although it has been in debate. But McNeil really took the bull by the horns here and said, this is what we're going to do for our consumers for safety. And I think they did a great, great job. In 2012, McNeil, the brand name Tylenol people, will lower the maximum daily dose for the regular strength Tylenol as well. Right now they're just doing the 500 milligram, the extra strength. Then they're going to roll out the 325 milligram, the regular strength. And again, that maximum dose is going to be 3,000 milligrams per 24 hours. What they said, though, is that consumers can continue to use their Tylenol and other adult acetaminophen-containing products as currently labeled. So right now you don't have to do any radical changes. But this is another reason why you shouldn't store medications around until they expire, because that labeling is going to stay the same in your cabinet, but the labeling on all the new stuff is going to change. So things like this happen, and you don't want to be taking toxic doses when you shouldn't be taking them. Now, the company is working closely with other manufacturers of acetaminophen products to help ensure consistency in dosing instructions. And what that really means is that brand name Tylenol is doing this, but guess what? Generic people who make acetaminophen are going to follow suit. The Tylenol website has been enhanced to include interactive tools to help consumers identify products that contain acetaminophen, and there's a website up there that you can get to. And they list common products that contain Tylenol that they make and some prescription things. The best thing about this website, though, is that it has this little place where you can type in anything you're taking, and it will spit out whether or not that contains acetaminophen. And it doesn't have to be something that McNeil makes. It can be anything that you're getting from prescription, anything like that. So I played with it a little bit, and it is really fun. You can put anything you want in there, and then you'll know, in order to be safe, are you taking too much acetaminophen? The McNeil people. They also make Tylenol PM, has Tylenol in it. And one of the things that we battle when I'm doing chart review is Tylenol PM or Advil PM. It seems so safe. It's just over the counter. There's lots of commercials for it. It's nice. We like it. It's friendly. We know the names. The problem is the active ingredient is antihistamines. And antihistamines have side effects. Basically, it's how most people feel when you take Benadryl. I think we've all had some Benadryl and felt that sleepy, groggy feeling. And this is the active ingredient in most of the sleep aids. So Unisom, Tylenol PM, Sominex, Nitol, they contain diphenhydramine, which is Benadryl. That's the generic name for Benadryl. Or they will contain doxylamine. Now, doxylamine is basically Benadryl's big sister. That's what that is. They act the same way. You're going to get the same side effects. It's not necessarily safer or better. And some of them, as we've mentioned, have Tylenol, which is acetaminophen, or Motrin or Advil, which are ibuprofen. So what do these antihistamines, what do diphenhydramine and doxylamine do? They basically block the effect of histamine, which is a neurotransmitter, and they help you feel sleepy, but they have other side effects. No one on the planet, no matter what they say, has gotten to the point where they've manufactured a drug that only does what you want it to do and doesn't do anything else. They all do something else. So this will give you dry mouth, dry eyes, blurry vision, unclear thinking. You might become more slow moving, especially if you're taking Parkinson's medications. It can counteract those. Urinary retention, which can lead to urinary tract infections if it goes on long enough, and constipation. And I can tell you this is not just for seniors. I actually bombed a very significant test my first year of pharmacy school as a result of taking a sleep aid a little too late, and I was still under the effects during the test in the morning. I couldn't think, I couldn't focus, I had studied for a long time. Medication side effects. So they affect everybody. Now, the Tylenol PM and the Advil PM, they contain these other medications. If you don't need other medications, don't take other medications. I know it's laying around the house and you bought it for sleep and once when you had pain, but if you don't need extra medications, try not to take extra medications. If you're taking something once in a while, it still has an increased fall risk. So you want to balance that with your need for sleep. If you're on vacation and you're going to be walking around a lot the next day, or you're going to be going out, you might want to think, am I going to feel a little unsteady? Is it going to counteract my Parkinson's medications? Is it going to counteract my memory medications? Is it that important to me tonight to take this medication? And it may be. There's a risk benefit. It affects your driving. We all have heard people getting pulled over and having accidents because they took Benadryl. Hangover effect, I had that with that test I mentioned. Increased fall risk, it affects your memory, causes confusion, and thinking problems. It really can counteract memory-enhancing medications. I think people discount this, but it absolutely does happen. So if you are taking medications to help you, if you've been diagnosed with dementia, you want to think about how often you are taking these medications and how it's affecting you, these over-the-counter Tylenol PM or Nitol, those kind of things. It can also cause dependency, tolerance, and rebound insomnia. Now, dependency isn't like you're an addict. It just means it's a crutch that you're using and you're going to fall asleep easier with it than you would without it. Your body gets used to that. Tolerance means you might have to take more and more doses. I mean, I've had people taking 5, 6 Tylenol PM a night, which first of all is too much Tylenol, and second is way too much antihistamine, but they get used to it and they think it's safe. So that's not appropriate. And you'll get rebound insomnia. You will get rebound insomnia. It's because you've used this crutch. It doesn't mean that you will never fall asleep on your own again and you need to take these medications all the time. I'm someone with chronic insomnia, have had it since I was in junior high. And when I'm taking these medications, it's for short periods of time. And when I stop, I know I'm going to plan it. I'm going to plan it on a weekend when I don't have to get up and go to work the next day because I'm going to have rebound insomnia. It's going to take you a few days to get back to normal, to get your body ready to help itself go to sleep. And